Hello guys, MonkeyBot here, and we just received a little bit of news from Creative Assembly about patch 6.0. We got a little bit of details on the Legendary Lords and their gameplay mechanics, but I want to be talking about a specific thing that's actually happening to Wurrzag. So it's just been announced that Wurrzag is actually getting a new start location, and it will be in the southern jungles. And I want to talk about how this is going to change up the Immortal Empiers, both where Wurrzag is starting and where he came from. Seeing how this is going to change a few matchups, see which factions will likely be in favor here, and see who's going to come out on top. So that being said, let's get into Immortal Empires and let's start this discussion. So from the small footage that we were given by CA, we know that his start location will be in Cuxel, over in this territory here, and Wurrzag's army will start just across the bridge here and then go and attack the Greenskin faction, which is the same Greenskin faction that Tic-Tac-Toe is fighting, so it's the Leafcutter tribe. So he will attack this faction and then likely go and take Suntree Glade. Now from here, the obvious thing to do would actually be to complete his province and go and attack here. But this settlement is actually closer to Wurrzag, to Suntree Glades, than this settlement here. So I think the player and the AI will most likely go over and get the statues of the gods, taking this from Tic-Tac-Toe, so Tic-Tac-Toe is unable to complete his province. I do think that Wurrzag will beat him in the race to this territory, as Tic-Tac-Toe has to go back and then forward again before getting this territory over here. It'll take him a few turns to get here, and I think Wurrzag will just beat him. So that's going to make this matchup very interesting. We've also never seen a Greenskin versus Lizardmen Legendary Lord matchup, so I don't really know how it's going to go. Most factions, I can kind of understand who will likely win that, but this one is, I think it's going to be about a 50-50 win rate. They're both melee-focused factions. They're both quite aggressive. The Lizardmen does have the armor, but the Greenskins does have the numbers. So, yeah, I don't really know who's going to win this matchup. But depending on who wins, it's going to be a very different campaign now in the southern jungles. If Tic-Tac-Toe wins, you're going to see what you've always seen. You're going to see Kairos push up this way, probably defeat Teclis, and push his way up to go up against Kroq-Gar and Tic-Tac-Toe, and it's the usual stuff you've already seen. But if Wurrzag wins, I think it's going to be a very different story. So he'll take this territory here, and then he could have two different campaigns. He could either go down here, which I wouldn't advise, but the AI is a little bit random. They kind of make their own decisions, but they could push their way down here and start fighting Teclis, and then be at war with Kairos, and then pushing into the southern Chaos Wastes. Or the other option would be to push north. I do think that Wurrzag and Mannfred would have a nice alliance together. They are not necessarily natural allies, but they do have the same types of enemies, so their relationships will likely go up, and they'll probably have at least a non-aggression pact and maybe an alliance further down in the future. And then this would actually put nice pressure on Thoric. Thoric at the moment in the current patch is a very strong Legendary Lord. He's kind of not got many enemies around him. He kind of pushes his way up here. And then Kroq-Gar is up here by this point. He doesn't want to go to war against Kroq-Gar. And then all he's got is Skarbrand to deal with. And then he starts pushing up further north. And then reinforcing Khazad-Karak over here by taking out Queek and so on. But now he's got an enemy in the south other than Mannfred. The reason why Mannfred was never really a threat to Thoric is because by the time this war between Mannfred and Settra happened, they kind of worn themselves out and they were both extremely weak. So then it was just easy for these guys over here to start taking on Mannfred and taking the territory themselves. So Mannfred was never really a threat to Thoric, but now that he's got a nice ally down here being Wurrzag, he kind of has a little bit more resilience to some of these Order-Tide factions surrounding him, and maybe Wurrzag can give him the buffer he needs to actually turn this into a nice destruction faction, with Ark and the Black pushing over this way, Mannfred taking over the center, and Wurrzag now pushing on the right-hand side against Thoric. So yeah, it's going to be a very different campaign now if Wurrzag managed to take out Tic-Tac-Toe. Obviously, Thoric is such a powerful Legendary Lord. All of what I'm saying could be nonsense, and Thoric could just still do whatever he wants to do. But yes, I do think in theory, Wurrzag could make a massive difference to the southern jungles and the desert land over here. But we're going to have to wait for patch 6.0 and see. So now let's talk about the Badlands a little bit, because this the Badlands is very, very empty right now. There's no legendary lords starting in this area at all, apart from Malagor, but Beatsmen don't count. So yeah, it's now a very, very vast piece of land with not a lot going on. So I do think this will benefit two legendary lords the most. One being Skarbrand, that's if he decides to go the northern route and not push into the desert over here. So he'll likely take out the top knots over here. And now that this is going to be controlled by a AI greenskin faction, he will likely be able to push into the western Badlands and maybe even threaten Barak over here. The other legendary lords that I think will benefit from this will be Clan Angrand. Once Skrag has taken the territory down here, Skrag's never seems to become very strong and actually becomes an easy punching bag for the dwarfs over here. So Belegar will likely take out the border princes and have that territory for himself, and then push into the western Badlands and move his way to Carrick 8 Peaks. So those are the two legendary lords that I think will make a change. I don't think any of the other surrounding legendary lords is going to be impacted that much. You don't see Skrag moving into the Badlands very much. Once he's taken the border princes, he kind of gets rolled over by everyone else. Khazad-Karak is kind of stuck. I do think that he's going to be in a stalemate battle with Gorbad Ironclaw. I'm almost convinced now that Wurrzag's moved. This will be the start location for Gorbad Ironclaw. But we'll have to wait and see. That's obviously not been confirmed yet. But I do think there'll be a back and forth war between them, as well as Skarsnik coming in here. So yeah, Khazad-Karak is definitely going to be dealing with a lot of greenskin threats in the area. And then Queek, I don't think will go into the Badlands very much. He tends to just push through the mountains, go against Carrick Azul, and then move his way to Carrick 8 Peaks. Once he's got Carrick 8 Peaks, maybe he'll start pushing into the Badlands, or maybe he'll just keep going up the World's Edge mountains over here before he meets up with Thorgrim and then pushing up, and yeah, he probably won't even get that far. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Queek, but I don't think he's going to be going into the Badlands. So that's going to be it for the Badlands, to be honest. Yeah, it's just a large empty void now and only really affecting a couple of legendary lords. So that's going to be it on my thoughts for Wurrzag's move. I think it's going to be a great change for the southern jungles. I really think that's going to spice things up, because that part of the Immortal Empiers map is a little bit boring, to be honest. So adding another threat there, adding a destruction faction in that area is really going to make a lovely difference. But the Badlands, on the other hand, is now feeling a little bit empty, so I'm hoping is going to be filled by those other legendary lords at some point. The 4 that are being introduced into patch 6.0 through the DLC and the FLC. But until that point, we're just going to have to wait and see. If nothing happens with the Badlands, it's definitely going to be a Clan Angrand and Belegar stomping ground all the way to Carrick 8 Peaks. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's going to be a great move for Wurrzag and the southern jungles? Or is there something that you're still hoping for, still worried about? Please leave your comments in the comment section down below and let's start a little bit of discussion. But until then, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this kind of content. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.